Top 30 Nonprofit Compliance Manager Interview Questions and Answers. Working as a nonprofit compliance manager requires a deep understanding of regulations, ethical standards, and reporting obligations that keep charitable organizations transparent and trustworthy. In this role, you'll ensure that the nonprofit adheres to federal, state, and donor guidelines while maintaining its mission integrity. This guide covers the top 30 interview questions with concise, professional answers designed to help you prepare effectively and demonstrate your compliance expertise with confidence. 1. What does compliance mean in a nonprofit organization? Compliance in a nonprofit context means adhering to all applicable laws, regulations, and internal policies that govern charitable operations. This includes maintaining tax-exempt status, following donor intent, proper financial reporting, and ensuring ethical fundraising. Compliance ensures accountability, transparency, and long-term sustainability of the organization. It helps prevent legal risks, protects public trust, and allows nonprofits to focus on fulfilling their mission effectively and responsibly. 2. Why is compliance important for nonprofits? Compliance is crucial because it safeguards a nonprofit's reputation, ensures legal protection, and maintains donor confidence. Failure to comply with regulations can result in penalties, loss of tax-exempt status, and diminished credibility. A strong compliance framework demonstrates integrity and commitment to ethical operations, which strengthens stakeholder relationships and supports mission success. Ultimately, compliance builds trust between the nonprofit, donors, and the communities it serves. 3. How do you ensure adherence to nonprofit laws and regulations? I stay updated on nonprofit laws by regularly reviewing IRS updates, attending compliance webinars, and networking with peers. I conduct internal audits, maintain documentation, and establish checklists for regulatory deadlines. Additionally, I train staff on compliance practices, including financial reporting and donor management. By proactively monitoring operations and encouraging transparent communication, I ensure that all activities align with both legal and ethical standards. 4. What are the most common compliance risks for nonprofits? Common compliance risks include improper use of funds, failure to file IRS Form 990, lobbying violations, conflict of interest, and weak data protection policies. Nonprofits can also face risks related to grant mismanagement or donor reporting errors. I mitigate these risks through regular audits, written policies, and ongoing staff education. Early detection and prompt corrective actions are essential for maintaining regulatory and ethical integrity. 5. How do you stay informed about changing compliance regulations? I subscribe to nonprofit regulatory newsletters, attend industry conferences, and participate in professional associations like the National Council of Nonprofits. I also monitor IRS and state websites for policy updates. Networking with compliance peers and maintaining relationships with legal advisors ensures I receive timely insights. Continuous education is vital to adapt compliance programs quickly and ensure the organization remains aligned with evolving legal expectations. 6. How would you handle a situation where a colleague violates compliance rules? First, I would document the violation and gather relevant facts objectively. Then, I'd report it through the appropriate internal channels, such as HR or a compliance committee, ensuring confidentiality. I'd emphasize corrective action rather than punishment, focusing on retraining and prevention. If the issue poses legal risk, I consult senior leadership or external counsel. My approach always prioritizes integrity, fairness, and regulatory accountability. 7. What experience do you have with IRS Form 990? I've overseen the preparation and filing of IRS Form 990, ensuring accuracy in financial data and narrative disclosures. My process includes reviewing the organization's annual reports, verifying board approval, and cross-checking revenue and expense allocations. I also train staff on how Form 990 impacts public transparency. By maintaining detailed records and audit trails, I help ensure compliance with federal reporting requirements and donor confidence. 8. How do you maintain donor transparency and accountability? I implement clear donation tracking systems and ensure all donor contributions are used as intended. Regular financial reports, acknowledgement letters, and updates about impact projects build transparency. I also enforce donor privacy policies, and ensure compliance with data protection laws. Maintaining open communication and detailed documentation fosters trust and reinforces the nonprofit's credibility with supporters and regulatory bodies alike. 9. Describe your approach to internal audits. My audit approach is systematic and risk-based. I begin by identifying high-risk areas, such as grants, procurement, or payroll. I then review documentation, test controls, and interview relevant staff. After analyzing findings, I prepare a detailed report with corrective recommendations. I also conduct follow-up checks to ensure implementation. Internal audits are not just about detecting errors. They're opportunities to strengthen processes and promote accountability. 10. What steps do you take to prevent fraud in nonprofits? I establish internal controls, such as dual authorization for expenditures and segregation of duties. Regular audits, anonymous whistleblower policies, and fraud awareness training help create a culture of accountability. I monitor financial transactions for anomalies and ensure compliance software flags irregularities. By combining prevention, detection, and education, I reduce fraud risks while promoting ethical behavior throughout the organization. 11. How do you ensure grant compliance? I carefully review grant agreements to understand specific requirements and restrictions. I create compliance checklists, track expenditures, and maintain detailed documentation. Regular progress reports are submitted to funders on time, ensuring full transparency. I also collaborate with program and finance teams to align grant spending with donor expectations. This proactive approach helps avoid disallowed costs and strengthens relationships with grantors. 12. How do you handle conflict of interest within a nonprofit? I ensure that all board members and staff complete annual conflict of interest disclosures. When potential conflict arise, I assess their impact objectively and recommend appropriate steps, such as recusal from decision-making. Transparency and documentation are key. I also educate staff about identifying and reporting conflicts early to prevent reputational or legal risks to the organization. 13. What's your process for reviewing nonprofit policies? I conduct annual reviews of compliance-related policies, assessing their effectiveness against current regulations and best practices. I involve department heads for input and ensure policies are practical and aligned with operations. Updates are communicated through training sessions and written acknowledgments. Continuous review ensures the organization remains legally compliant and internally consistent with its mission and ethical standards. 14. How do you promote a culture of compliance in the organization? I lead by example and make compliance a shared responsibility. Through regular training, open discussions, and accessible reporting systems, I empower staff to view compliance as integral to success, not as a burden. Recognizing compliant behavior and integrating ethics into performance reviews also reinforces the message. Culture change happens when compliance becomes part of everyday decision-making. 15. What tools or software do you use for compliance management? I use compliance management tools like Smartsheet, BoardEffect, and Power DMS for tracking policies, training, and audits. Financial compliance is managed through accounting software integrated with donor databases. For reporting, I rely on secure document management systems. The key is automation and transparency. These tools streamline monitoring, improve accuracy, and make it easier to demonstrate compliance to regulators and funders. 16. How would you respond to a data breach in the organization? I would immediately secure affected systems, notify leadership, and engage IT and legal experts. Then, I'd assess the scope of the breach, document findings, and communicate transparently with stakeholders. Compliance with data protection laws like GDPR or HIPAA would guide our response timeline and disclosure requirements. Finally, I'd strengthen cybersecurity measures and staff training to prevent future incidents. 17. How do you ensure ethical fundraising practices? I follow the Association of Fundraising Professionals, AFP, Code of Ethics, and ensure all solicitations are truthful and transparent. I train staff to communicate donor impact honestly and avoid high-pressure tactics. Donation records are maintained accurately, and restricted funds are used only for their intended purpose. Ethical fundraising builds donor trust and supports long-term organizational sustainability. 18. How do you manage compliance training for staff? I develop annual compliance training programs tailored to different roles. Sessions cover key areas such as conflict of interest, financial ethics, data security, and reporting requirements. I use online learning modules for consistency and track participation through compliance software. Follow-up quizzes and feedback surveys ensure understanding. Ongoing education keeps staff informed and fosters a proactive compliance culture. 19. What is your experience with board governance compliance? I ensure the board follows bylaws, holds regular meetings, and maintains minutes. I manage annual disclosures, verify core requirements, and assist in policy reviews. I also provide compliance training for new board members. Strong governance compliance enhances accountability, strategic alignment, and transparency, ensuring the board fulfills its fiduciary duties effectively and legally. 20. How do you evaluate a compliance program's effectiveness? I assess effectiveness through audits, staff feedback, incident reports, and key performance indicators like policy violations or late filings. Regular reviews help identify trends and areas for improvement. I also benchmark against industry standards and update the program accordingly. Success is measured not only by regulatory compliance, but also by how well it's integrated into organizational culture. 21. Describe a time you improved compliance in a previous role. In my previous role, I identified recurring late Form 990 filings. I implemented a compliance calendar, automated reminders, and cross-department reviews. Within 1 year, we achieved 100% on-time submissions and reduced audit adjustments. The improvement strengthened donor confidence and eliminated penalty risks. It also improved communication between finance and administration teams, fostering a proactive compliance mindset. 22. How do you handle communication with regulators or auditors? I maintain professional, transparent, and well-documented communication. I prepare detailed records, anticipate questions, and respond promptly to requests. During audits, I provide clear explanations and ensure full cooperation. My approach emphasizes collaboration rather than confrontation, which builds credibility and demonstrates the organization's commitment to accountability and good governance practices. 23. How do you ensure financial compliance in a nonprofit? I establish strong internal controls, conduct monthly reconciliations, and enforce budget discipline. Expenditure approvals follow a multi-level review system, and all financial activities are recorded transparently. I also ensure compliance with generally accepted accounting principles GAAP and donor restrictions. Regular financial audits and staff training support accuracy, prevent fraud, and maintain fiscal responsibility. 24. What's your strategy for managing compliance deadlines? I maintain a centralized compliance calendar with reminders for critical filings and reports. Automated alerts ensure no deadlines are missed. I assign responsibility for each task and hold monthly reviews to track progress. This proactive system minimizes last-minute stress, avoids penalties, and keeps compliance integrated into day-to-day operations. 25. How do you balance compliance with mission-driven goals? I see compliance as a foundation that supports, not hinders, mission success. By streamlining compliance processes and educating staff on their purpose, I reduce bureaucracy while maintaining integrity. Collaboration between compliance and program teams ensures operations remain both efficient and ethical. The goal is alignment, where compliance strengthens a nonprofit's mission impact rather than limiting it. 26. What are your methods for risk assessment? I begin with identifying potential risks, financial, operational, reputational, or regulatory. Then, I assess their likelihood and impact using a risk matrix. Regular reviews, staff interviews, and data analysis help keep assessments current. Finally, I develop mitigation strategies and monitor implementation. A structured, ongoing risk management process ensures the organization stays resilient and compliant. 27. How do you handle whistleblower reports? I ensure the organization has a clear, confidential whistleblower policy. When reports arise, I document them promptly, maintain anonymity, and investigate objectively. I communicate findings to leadership and ensure corrective actions are implemented. Protecting whistleblowers from retaliation is essential to maintaining trust and encouraging ethical reporting across the organization. 28. How do you handle compliance during organizational changes? During mergers, leadership transitions, or expansions, I conduct compliance due diligence to identify potential gaps. I update policies, retrain staff, and review all legal obligations. Communication and documentation are key to ensuring smooth transitions. By planning ahead and monitoring changes closely, I prevent compliance lapses and maintain organizational stability. 29. What metrics do you track for compliance performance? I monitor training completion rates, policy violations, audit findings, and corrective action timelines. I also track filing accuracy, donor reporting consistency, and stakeholder satisfaction. These metrics provide quantitative insight into compliance effectiveness. Regular analysis allows me to refine strategies and demonstrate measurable improvements to leadership and funders. 30. Why do you want to work as a nonprofit compliance manager? I'm passionate about helping organizations operate with transparency and integrity. Compliance allows me to blend analytical skills with ethical values, ensuring nonprofits achieve their mission responsibly. I find fulfillment in creating systems that protect both the organization and its beneficiaries. Working in this role lets me make a meaningful contribution to public trust and community impact. Preparing for a nonprofit compliance manager interview requires demonstrating your expertise in governance, ethics, and regulatory understanding. By mastering these 30 questions and refining your answers, you'll project professionalism, integrity, and strategic insight. Remember, compliance is not just about rules. It's about building trust, ensuring accountability, and helping nonprofits achieve their mission effectively and ethically in today's complex operating environment.